disaster must come. At best, only postponed. Shaolin Kung Fu, to survive, must now be taught to more young men.
Welcome once again to another episode of Fists, Kicks, and Flicks, the podcast about martial arts, movies, and life. I am one of your hosts, Eugene Plowden, and with me as always, my podcast partners, Joe Hartley and Angel Diaz. What's up, fellas?
What's going on?
What's up, man?
If this is your first time with us, I want you to know we are members of the Martial Arts Internet Network. On Mondays, you got Raw with Mimi and Lump. Tuesdays is CTE with Chris Lowe's and Travis. Wednesdays is Fists, Kicks, and Flicks with Gene, Joe, and Angel. And on Thursdays, you can get the Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. For more information, you can check us out on all of our social media platforms. Just look for the Martial Arts Internet Network on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Fellas, it's showtime. What's going on, guys?
Not much, man. You know, just chilling this weekend, doing the family thing, and just taking it from there.
Okay. What about you, Buds?
I'm tired, sore. Just got back from Miami doing Pan American Internationals, but you know, just time to get back to the weekday grind, man.
How'd it go down there?
Yeah, it went all right, man. Honestly, like not my best tournament, but it wasn't bad like that. Just some stipulations I got caught on, and then it was just overall just like I felt off this weekend, man. It's just how it is.
Is this the most you've traveled?
To be real with you, I've never done any NASCAR tournaments until this year. So
okay.
Like the fact that like I've been able to like travel, win as much as I have been winning, place in my division. Like not too many people are able to do that their first year out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm able to at least keep myself in the hunt mostly at all the tournaments I go to.
Mm-hmm.
And I told you guys about like diamonds. Like no one expected that. So it was this is the most I've ever traveled in my life, honestly.
Are you enjoying it?
Yo, I love every trip. Like I had a thing today when I was like, oh man, like this is like the last NASCAR. Kind of like did like a little reflection, nothing crazy, but I just told myself like, man, like this is like what it's all about. It's like going to these tournaments, doing your best, but then creating like a memory out of it as well. And definitely got memories, man. So
okay, yeah. I had a pretty cool weekend also, man. I mean, it's like every day is just always something for me. I always got something to do. I really don't have a lot of downtime like during the week. It's just always one thing after another. Just been doing some logo designs, working on some things. Then my girl, we went over to my stepdaughter's on Friday night, just hang out with her and shoot pool and play darts. And
your girl?
Yeah.
Oh, what's your girl now?
And then we went to Great Lakes Crossing. We went to Great Lakes Crossing over the weekend and walked around, did some stuff for Christmas. And we went to that spot round one out there. Played a couple games, and then went over to my parents' house. Spoke with them for a little bit and came home. And it's just been one thing after another. For the last week and a half, so I've been constantly going and doing things, man. And then working on all these other businesses and podcasts and everything, just grinding. And then I'm looking at Facebook and I see that Trav has put some new videos out there, right? And I was thinking like a lot of people on the Martial Arts Internet Network, and on their intros, they have footage of them fighting. Now, That's not going to be the case for you and I, Joe.
I got some good videos of me fighting. They're just not recent.
Yeah, it's not recent, and it's definitely not going to be recent for me. And we're probably going to have to talk to, like, Pete Davenport. Like, I don't want no footage of me when I was 12 fighting. Like, that can't represent me now. You know what I'm saying? And I know Willie's mom got a lot of footage of me back when I was like 17, 18, 19 years old, but it is not going to be any recent footage of me at all.
You know, most recent of mine, maybe 2021, maybe. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if I got anything.
This year? You fought this year in the tournament?
No, I'm talking about my age was 20 or 21.
Oh, okay.
Yo, for a second, Joe, for a second, I'm about to be like, bro, we've been doing this for a minute. You haven't told us you went to one tournament. When did you lie?
No, other than that. 18, 19 would be like my best stuff because I'm dropping hook kicks and axe kicks on people, a couple of reverse punches, but that was then. That was a while ago.
Listen, I got Trav, man. I got highlights for days, so I got him with that.
Okay, well, that's good. That's good. Let's jump into the movie. Transporter 3. How am I on y'all end? I'm good.
You good?
You all right?
Okay, cool. What'd you guys think of the movie first off?
At first I was watching it and it took me about 15 minutes before I was like, have I seen this one? But then once I seen the premise, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I did see this. I think I watched it once, maybe twice.
Okay, all right. What'd you think of the movie, Books?
I never liked it to begin with, so I already went into it like that. It just didn't impress me as much as 2 and 1.
I thought that's what you said. That's why I wanted to start off, because I actually enjoyed this movie better than the first two.
Really?
I liked it. Yeah, I liked it a lot. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was, a piece of me. I thought Frank was going to die at the end of this movie, because I knew this was the last movie, and I knew there weren't any more at the end of it. And you guys saw The Dark Knight Returns, right? And Christian Bale's Batman, they never really said 100% if Batman lived or died at the end. I don't want to spoil the ending, but there was something that happens at the end of the movie where it kind of leads you to believe that maybe he still was alive. I thought it was going to be something like that at the end of this movie, but it was pretty good. From my opinion.
It was this one. After watching it, like I couldn't remember if I liked it or not. But I didn't hate it. I still like the first one, my favorite. Mm-hmm. Maybe I say this one was better than 2. This one had more action in it. Some of the fight scenes in this were just as good as the first one, in my opinion. But then some of the car scenes, they were getting a little too crazy with the car scenes.
Yeah, that's
where they lost me, bro.
They got real Fast and Furious. That's what I was thinking. All right, so the movie starts off when we see a ship, and we see some people on the ship, and we see 2 guys go downstairs to the bottom, and I think they're looking to get some beer or something? They thought that they had beer on the ship, or was it wine or something? It was some type of drink. Yeah, they went down there to get, which it wasn't that down there. They opened up these containers, and it was something toxic because it smelled bad. And the next time we see these guys, they're sick, or they're pretty much dead, I should say.
More or less.
Yeah, and their bodies get thrown over the side of the ship, and they're pretty much done. And next scene after that, we see a guy, a young guy, and he's talking to I don't know if it's a customs agent or a checkpoint agent or something like that. And he is trying to he's going somewhere. We later find out that this is a new transporter. And we see a girl in the back of his car. Then we see Frank and the inspector, Tarconi. Now, at the beginning of this movie, those 3 scenes had me a little bit confused because I didn't understand what the hell was going on. It was just so much jumping around from scene to scene to scene. It wasn't until the second time that I watched it that I kind of put everything together.
They were building up to what was going to happen.
Right.
And
So
it was
did you?
weird because it was like
Yeah.
you didn't know until you knew.
Right, exactly. That's exactly my point. Like I had to watch this beginning part and then rewatch it to understand what was going on at this point because I was lost at first, and especially with the car scene with this new transporter. His name is Malcolm, and because they were going from back and forth from him racing or running away from the police to Frank and Inspector Tarconi fishing. And I just did not get it. I didn't understand what the hell was going on. I was just completely lost.
I think they wanted us to like believe because Frank was given instruction to the inspector because he got a fish on how to get the fish up, and then the instructions he was given out were almost going word for word, which like to the car driving.
Right.
So they were
Which
switching
direction?
scenes. He'd be like, "Go left," and then the car would go left and go.
Mhm.
So I don't know what they were trying to establish there. It was kind of dumb.
Yeah, it was trying to be a little bit too cute and a little bit too creative. That was
Yeah, I think
it
that's the
wasn't
best. That's a good
necessary.
way to put it.
Yeah,
That's
it
a great
wasn't.
way to put it.
It was not necessarily because, like I said, like I
Completely
was lost.
unnecessary.
I was lost the first time I saw it. I didn't get it. I didn't see the purpose of it. You know,
Yeah, it was dumb.
What'd you think, Bugs?
I like to be real with you, man. When I was watching this, like just the beginning, like I don't know. To me, I just felt like it was just slow. Like I don't know if you guys got that feeling, but I was just kind of like, alrighty, like when are we gonna shoot a bazooka somewhere? Like I don't know, like maybe like you know what I mean? Like just like I think I was just like too used to the first two movies that like I said, like but you know what? Maybe I didn't give this movie a fair shot, not kind of going into like a biased opinion.
Because you already didn't like it.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So like me, like I'm looking at it like, oh, this is slow. Maybe I could have looked at it differently.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna tell you, like I said, overall, I didn't mind the movie, but like I said, there was parts that I really enjoyed, and then there were parts where it was like it was unnecessary. The transporter to me didn't need the whole Fast and Furious vibe,
Yeah,
and I feel like they were taking it there.
Mm-hmm.
I like
I
seeing
feel
the
like
good fight
because of
scenes
that one.
and the good driving. That's all we need.
Go ahead, Bugs.
I was gonna say I feel like because of that one car scene where he had the Lamborghini and Transporter 2, that went way off the rails with what they were gonna do in this one. Because in all seriousness, in Transporter 2, that's like a lot of people remember like that scene of like him with the Lamborghini, like driving through the cars and chasing down the plane. Like if you say Transporter 2, a lot of people remember that. So that's why I say that.
Yeah. The next scene we get introduced to a couple other guys, Johnson and Mr. Minister. I don't. It kept calling him Mr. Minister, but I didn't get this guy's name. I know he was Ukrainian, and it kind of seemed like he worked. I think he did work for like the EPA for the Ukraine, right? And basically,
I think he was the final say. If he's a prime minister,
yeah.
Yeah, he was the final.
Okay,
say.
so he was a prime minister. Okay, so I didn't get it. I didn't know if he was. I know they kept calling him Mr. Minister, but I at the same time, like I thought he worked for the EPA also, but I don't know. I mean, you could be right, you know, because they never really gave us any type of.
They
direction,
really didn't,
you know,
not at all.
So basically, Johnson wants him to listen to what he is saying, what he wants him to do. Johnson wants the minister to do something. The minister goes into his office and Johnson calls him on a cell phone. So he has an envelope, and inside this envelope, there's a cell phone. He gets the phone, he's talking to Johnson, and Johnson tells him to look at the other contents in the envelope. Now, we don't know this until later, but it's a picture. I'm assuming it's a picture of his daughter. So they have kidnapped the minister's daughter, right? Yep. And now I guess the minister doesn't know what to do. What did you think about these two characters? Either one of you guys.
Which one? The minister and
minister or Johnson?
Johnson, not the greatest bad guy. He wasn't all that scary.
No, he wasn't. And
I mean, it was mostly just talk. He really didn't do anything special.
He really did.
Then, I mean, he had the plan. I guess the plan was okay, but he himself just wasn't very scary to me. As far as the minister goes, I don't know, bit of punk ass.
I second that motion.
Okay. So now we find out that Johnson had his men approach Frank earlier, before the movie even starts. We don't know when, but we know that Johnson had his men approach Frank about being their transporter. And Frank turns them down, and he gives them Malcolm's information, tells them to call him. Now, I don't know if you guys now, was Frank done being a transporter, or did he not?
Yes.
Okay. And obviously they didn't explain what he planned to do with himself after that. I wonder why he just didn't say, I'm out the business, I'm not doing it anymore, or whatever. These guys are a little bit pushy, and then a fight breaks out between Johnson's men and Frank. And
Frank's
Frank
always worried about his suit. He got to take the suit jacket off. He got to throw it to the side. Then he's out of his shirt this time. He thought he was Angel or something. You know?
And then, what's so funny about that is, like you said, he's always concerned about it, but he has multiple suits.
I know. He's got like 4 or 5 of them
in the car that he just changes into, So he pretty much beat these guys up. And they leave him alone, and I guess they take his advice and go ahead and they contact Malcolm. We see Frank at his house, and he's watching television. He just finished eating, and he hears a car screeching as he's standing a little bit closer to the TV. And then a car comes crashing through his wall, and it's Malcolm. And the girl is in the back seat of his car. Now, the last time we saw them, they were running from the police. I don't know what country that was or where they were. Now they are at Frank's house. So we don't really know what happened between Transporter 2 and Transporter 3.
Not at all.
Which is fine with me. I don't care. I kind of like that these movies actually, you don't have to watch these in any particular order.
Nope.
You could watch them in any order and still appreciate them. So we don't know what happened with Frank. We know that he's back in France like he was in the first movie. He's talking to Malcolm, and Malcolm is, he's trying to help Malcolm. He sees that Malcolm's been shot. Malcolm is trying to tell him that he can't leave from the car, but he's talking in broken English.
Yeah, and he's just saying car.
Yeah. And Frank is just trying to keep him relaxed, keep him calm, because he's called the ambulance, and the ambulance is on the way. When the ambulance gets there, Malcolm is really trying to put his sentence together to stop them from moving him from the car. They don't. They end up the medics end up taking him away, putting him in the ambulance, and then Frank goes back and he speaks to the young lady in the car. Now we eventually find out her name is Valentina, and she's telling Frank that she can't leave the car, and then she shows Frank the bracelet that she has on her wrist. Frank also saw that same bracelet on Malcolm. And then he starts putting things together that something bad is going to happen if he's away from the car. So he runs out to try and stop the ambulance, but he's too late. The ambulance explodes, killing, the medics and also Malcolm.
Bro, he ran fast as hell, man.
Yeah, he did.
He ran like the Flash. That made no sense.
Yeah, and it was no way he was going to catch up with him either.
No.
Not even close.
Once he goes back and he speaks to Valentina, he just pretty much walks back to the car, and then someone is there, hits him. The next thing you know, Frank wakes up. He's been captured, and now he has a bracelet on his arm. You guys got anything?
I just thought it was weird, like how he just woke up in the bed.
Mm-hmm.
I was more confused on that part.
You know what? They just knock him out and go to town, figure out their stuff, because they got a deadline to meet, I guess.
Yeah. Now this is where it kind of messed me up on the movie a little bit. So they have Frank. They have a suit for him to put on. They also somehow has his car. And Frank is.
They did not have his car at first.
Well, they did. I mean, because he.
Oh yeah, in anticipation.
Yeah,
okay,
they had his car.
You're right. Yeah.
So he's talking to them. He's talking to Johnson, and Johnson says that he wants to do a job. His guy who tried to talk to him before tries to speak, and Johnson ends up shooting him in the head, killing this guy. Wipes him out. So now Frank knows that this Johnson guy is a serious guy, and there's nobody to play with, so he's going to work with him. Now, I was thinking, like, I know Frank has had a gun at his head multiple times. I would have thought that he could have took this gun from this guy and shot him, and then shot the other two guys that were in the room.
I agree, but the problem is he don't know nothing about that bracelet.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that.
So that would have been a problem.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So he had to learn more about that bracelet before he starts doing that. Plus, he wouldn't want to put that girl in danger.
Well, I don't think he was thinking about the girl at that point because she wasn't in the room with him.
Bro, he looked pissed
right.
when he saw her in the car.
Huh?
He looked pissed when he saw her in the car.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So Johnson takes him out, and Frank says, that he wants his car. He wants to drive his car. And they are said, of course, we already have it. And they pretty much dismantled it and then put it back together for him without his weapons attached to it. I think he noticed that they're putting a package in his trunk. And Johnson is telling him what he wants him to do. He's has a GPS now attached to his car also. And like Angel says, he looks in the car and he sees the girl. Now, she's not in the back seat this time. She's in the front seat. Now, this is what was confusing me. Once I finished watching the movie, what was the purpose of Frank transporting this girl anywhere if they have her? Because we find out this girl is Mr. Minister's daughter, right? So Johnson wants the minister to do something. He wants him to sign these papers to allow, I'm assuming, dumping somewhere. Now, was it explained where they were going to dump all of this toxic material?
I don't know, but it was a treaty that he had already passed on.
Mm-hmm.
And they're basically the Johnson's friends, as he put it, came to him saying he needed to help them with this situation. And he says, just being who he is, and I'm sure they paid him a lot of money. He'll help. So the idea is the prime minister has a lot of resources because he's very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is the way I looked at it. Frank's whole idea and plan, or Johnson's plan with Frank, is to basically play keep away with the daughter until he signs it. So they had 24 hours to play keep away. If you stationary this daughter, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was sending, because he did send people out.
Yeah, he did.
And he's thinking, if you have a professional driver, and nobody's going to be able to catch up to him.
Well, what if they just kept her in a basement somewhere?
Like I said, but he has a lot of resources. He could send a team out to really do a thorough job of trying to find her. It really didn't make a lot of sense, but this is the most sense I could make of it.
Yeah, because I think like his people ended up finding Frank because he passed like a checkpoint, and either his car or a picture of Frank and the daughter Valentina were seen, and now they knew the direction that they were going. But if she was just locked up in a basement or something, how would they ever know where she was? That's what I was thinking when I saw what happened later on in the movie.
I guess the director felt that was tired. That was you. This is much better.
Right. Go ahead, Books.
No, I was just gonna be like, that's how I saw this with her. Like he was just like trying to just keep her away as far as possible until the time ran out. I felt like, as we saw like the other transporters, like the mission was to like save someone, like, you know what I mean, like accomplish the goal. The goal here was just to keep her away, but in terms that kind of helped Frank because it was giving him time to piece things together and figure stuff out.
Mm-hmm. Now, my second question to that is, it seems like Johnson has a lot of people associated with him. He has a lot of people, and they're all over the place. Why did he need to get a transporter? Why didn't he just have his men have the girl Valentina and just one of his people drive her around?
Like I said, because of the resources of the minister, I think he said he figured if he gets in a sticky situation, it's better for a professional driver than it is for just some random Joe Blow on his squad.
I got you. Okay. Now, after that, we have Inspector Tarconi. He is at Frank's house, and he's trying to figure out what the heck happened. He's looking for Frank. They see Malcolm's car. They see that it's in the middle of Frank's living room. um,
Dude, Tarconi's face when he's looking around like, what the hell did Frank get into this time?
Right, exactly. And you know what was funny? Also, what was funny was at the beginning of the movie when Frank and Tarconi were fishing, and Malcolm was doing all of that driving throughout France. Tarconi's boss called him, and he was kind of saying like maybe check in on Frank to see if he's the one doing it. And
Yep,
he was
you're
like,
right.
no,
You're
don't
right.
worry, not this time. He has a good alibi this time, you know. So I thought that was pretty funny.
I think it's cool to see
good.
like their relationship, like how they've actually grown from Transporter 1 to where it is now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Tarconi has no other friends.
Listen. Frank better be your best friend. He ruined the whole trip to Miami.
Right. Exactly. You know. So the police have Malcolm's vehicle, and they are getting ready to tow. Well, they are towing it. And then someone stops in front of them and jumps out, and it's two guys, and they end up killing the police officer that was towing the vehicle. Now, that kind of messed me up also, because they were acting like they were villains.
They're the Prime Minister goons.
Yeah, I mean, the Prime Minister, like, I would have thought those people would have been legit, like, on the up and up. Like,
they don't got time. The Prime Minister says, "Find my daughter." They're like, "Listen, we don't got time for this. Let's go."
And they ended up
they were kind of sketchy too.
They were. Like I said, man, I like that threw me off the first time I saw it also, because I thought those were Johnson's people at first. Like, I didn't know. Like, I mean, I didn't.
So
think,
did I. So did I.
Yeah, I didn't think those were. It wasn't until the second time I saw it that I realized. Oh, as a matter of fact, it was the second time I saw it, but later on in the film is when I realized who these guys were. You know, because even the second time I saw it, I still thought those were Johnson's guys that killed the police officers. You know.
Yeah, the storytelling in this was just all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they were like piecing it together at the end, but it was kind of like, who are these people? What is this? What is going on? And then all of a sudden, like, they kind of explained it at the end. It was just weird.
Yeah. Now Frank is trying to talk to Valentina. He's trying to figure out what the heck is going on. So he's trying to be nice to her. He's trying not to upset her or anything like that. But she's not really trying. She honestly doesn't know anything. We don't find that out until the end. But at this point in time, I thought that she was hiding something just by how she was acting. You know, she really didn't want to talk to him. She didn't really want to know his name. And it seems to me like everybody knew Frank's rules. Like, why would they know his rules? Like, unless you were already part of the underworld or whatever. Like, you know, how would you know that, you know, he doesn't want to know what the package is, and you know, no changing the plans and all of these things that he was saying to other people in the other movies. Like, why do these people know that now?
I guess they did their homework before they got, because they were consider him to be the best. So maybe Johnson told her.
Possibly.
So come on with.
Yeah. Now, the Inspector Tarconi is back at the scene. Now he sees that the officers, the officer who was doing the tow truck has been killed. And he goes and he looks at the dash cam that's in that vehicle, and he sees the two guys who ends up shooting the police officer. And he knows that they end up taking the GPS. He also sees their driver's license. The license plate. So he knows exactly who is who he needs to go talk to, because he ends up going to the Prime Minister later on. Do you think that he would want to arrest those guys, or do you think he just wanted to? I would think that he would have said, "Let's work together," or "I have a guy that's working on this," or something. You know.
Would have made sense, but maybe at that point he didn't know who to trust.
Yeah, you're right about that.
And the other thing I was gonna ask you, in the previous scene. Do you think if Valentina would have just told Frank she was who her dad was, it would have been able to help at all, or it probably wouldn't have mattered?
Um,
I mean, it might have shined some light on. At least he would have known, hey, something crazy is going on here.
Right. She should have said, like, I've been kidnapped. Something. She should have said something, but I think it would have helped a little, or at least help Frank plan what he should do now, his next move. I think
for sure.
Now these other three guys, go see the prime minister. I don't think we get these guys' names, but they're working for Johnson. They're either working for Johnson or working with Johnson. And
those three guys, those are the friends that Johnson is trying to help.
Okay.
They're the ones that want to do the toxic dumping.
Okay. Now we don't know their names.
Yeah, they're businessmen. They're the mob. Who knows what they are?
Yeah.
But yeah, they're not. They're shady.
Yeah. And now they're trying to get the prime minister to sign those papers to allow the toxic dumping. But the prime minister is pretty smart. He's not a dumb guy. And he is trying to extend the time and get more time for his guys to find his daughter. So he tells them that, he wants to look over the paperwork before he signs it. And, he'll give them 24 hours before he does.
I gotta say, for supposedly being some bad guys, when does any bad guys be like, oh yeah, we'll give you 24 hours? Of course, you got to look over the paperwork. Bullshit.
You know what?
Like, you know what? Put a gun to your face and be like, we got your daughter. Shit.
I think the prime minister is a shady guy, and I think they know he's a bad guy also. I think they know he's a bad shady guy also, and they really don't want to fuck with him too much.
I guess you're right. That's the only, because that made no sense to me. I'm like, really? You're just gonna be like, oh yeah, sure, we'll give you 24 hours. We're nice bad guys.
Yeah, they didn't really have
a choice. What the hell was that?
Yeah, I mean, because he never seemed, the prime minister never seemed scared in the movie. Yeah. He seemed concerned, but he kept it cool the whole time, and he just let them out. He just let them walk out. He pretty much told them, okay, it's time to go. I said what I said. You guys got 24 hours, and that's it.
Yeah, that prime minister is gangster.
Yeah, right. You got anything, Bugs?
Me, I'm over here like, man, you must not care about your daughter. like, nah, it's cool. I'll just go get another one. I'm good.
Right. Now Frank is driving with the daughter, with Valentina, and he decides, you know what? I'm going to take a little detour. And he goes sees his friend Otto. He goes to Otto's place, and he's trying to get the bracelets taken off of him. And then also he wants the car checked out also. And Otto is doing it. And Otto knows a little bit about that type of technology. Now, what I don't understand is how come Otto couldn't figure out how to take off the bracelet? Because I thought he was going to do it at first, and then he wanted to look for the transmitter, which he did. He started inspecting the car and finds the transmitter, but I don't know why he did not take off the bracelet.
I don't think he really figured out how to.
Okay.
He never he knew about the technology, but he didn't know much about it.
Okay. Because
the transmitter, he couldn't remove the transmitter because he said it was hardwired to the car.
Right, and it was going to, and it would have exploded. So
yeah.
Now, as Frank and Otto are talking, Johnson's guys show up. They're right. It's like they're at checkpoints all along the routes because they got there quick and they knew exactly where they were, what door to come into. They came in like they had been hanging out with Otto. Yep. And they wanted Frank to get back on the road and drive, and Frank told him no. He said that something was wrong with the car, and he needed, his guy to check it out for him, which was a sweet lie. It was a good lie. He said he knows his car. He knows when something is wrong with it. So then Frank and these guys end up fighting. I kind of like the fight scene. It wasn't bad.
This fight scene was great. I'm sorry. This fight scene had a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
When I saw this fight scene, I was like, "Oh, he's about to throw some oil on himself again."
You didn't really care for it? You didn't really care for the scene?
I thought the scene was good. It's just
there's one part I did not like.
They try to take the best scenes from 1 and 2, and they try to mash them up in the same type of scenery. You know what I mean?
Okay, but listen, What do you think about Homegirl?
I knew. Yeah, I knew.
You like that fight scene a lot.
Yeah, I knew it instantly. I said, "Oh, she's getting turned on now," because just her looks.
I thought she was going to jump Frank afterwards.
Yeah, well, she pretty much did. She pretty
Not
much
right
did.
away, though.
Huh?
She was more willing to talk afterwards.
Oh, she was. Yeah, she definitely was. She definitely was. Now, the one part in this fight scene that I did not like was when the big guy shows up. And the big guy throws Frank through center block. Like, he throws him through a wall. Like, that's not happening in real life ever. That wasn't drywall. That wasn't drywall.
No.
That was center blocks he threw him
You're
through.
dead.
Yeah.
You're dead.
You're going to hit the center blocks and fall down. You're not going through. Or, that was ridiculous,
Hey, what was Frank's line to that guy?
Are you the smart guy? Are you the smart one? And he says, no, I'm the big guy or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. That was funny.
Yeah. So then they end up fighting, and Frank at first was not hurting this guy.
Not even close.
Yeah. He ends up falling through the floor, and then that put Frank at an advantage. So he couldn't hit him when he would hit him in the body, he wasn't doing nothing. But when he would hit him in the face, that was hurting him a little bit. So then Frank ends up beating this guy and then hit him in the face with a shovel. I didn't like the part also when he threw the rose on top of him. Like, that was point. Like, where the hell did you get a rose from? Why did Otto have a rose in this place?
It was very, very weird.
Yeah. And then also the guy who told Frank, who walked in, who told Frank to get back on the road. Like, he didn't fight. He ends up leaving. It seemed like he went to go get the big guy, and then he just left. Otto wanted to know, after the fight was over, Otto wanted to know what to do, and Frank pretty much told him to go home, which would have been messed up because because Frank was killing these guys. Like, he dropped a car on two of these guys, and they're dead.
The car hoist.
Yeah, these guys were dead. And like Joe said, like Valentina's watching, and she's just sitting there getting turned on, the whole time. And she was a different person after this. Anything, Buzz?
I mean, listen, like, she had to. I think she was more or less like, I don't think she thought much of Frank until that fight scene. So then she saw, like, oh, he could actually handle himself. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I think that's why that happened, personally.
She liked that hairy chest.
Yo, I don't know about you guys, but it seems like every time Frank takes off his shirt, he got some baby oil on his body. It makes no sense. I don't know what be happening over here. I'm like, man.
You know what? When they told him, hey, this time around, Jason, you're gonna take your shirt off. He's like, only if you give me some baby oil.
Yeah, like, it seemed like every time he takes his shirt off, it looked like he's already glistening. I'm like, I'm like, yo, you just started. How are you already like that?
It's working out.
Yep. Johnson ends up calling Frank and tells him to get back on the road. Frank wants to talk in person now. And Johnson tells him, okay, fine, I'll send you the coordinates of where to meet me. Frank goes there and he tells him, he's going to call. He doesn't call the cell phone this time. He calls a payphone. And Frank gets out of the car to go talk on a payphone. He's talking to Johnson. Meanwhile, someone jumps into Frank's car and drives off. So now, the bracelet. We didn't really talk about what's the deal with the bracelet in the car. Frank and whoever has this bracelet on has to stay around the car. If they go past, was it 75 yards?
25,
something like that.
Yeah.
25, it starts to change. Like he was, Johnson explained.
25. I think he said after 25 feet, it turns yellow.
Right. That's like the liquid is starting to go to a different part of the bracelet. And then after 75 yards, it turns red and then it explodes. And that's what happened with Malcolm when he was in the ambulance. He started the bracelet on his wrist. He went farther than 75 yards. So the bracelet exploded and that's what took them out. So now with someone jumping in Frank's car, Frank knew that he needs to keep up with the car. And my thinking was this guy must be a pretty bad driver if he can't get away from Frank on a bicycle.
No. Frank was on foot. Frank was on foot for the first part of it.
Right.
Did you guys
Frank should have been dead.
That
Frank should have been dead.
Frank Frank was a triathlon athlete. That man ran after that ambulance like there was no tomorrow. He could do it all day if he wanted to.
And
Frank should have been dead.
Yeah, I mean, because also, like, no matter where, like, Frank was in buildings riding this bicycle. He couldn't have seen where they were going, but yet still, like, he knew exactly to stay within, you know, the right amount of feet from the vehicle.
It was a fun scene, but
Frank it was fun, but it wasn't realistic at all.
Frank would have been dead.
Yeah, I mean, he's riding a bicycle on top of tables. He's riding the bicycle down the railings of steps, you know, and you know he still, you know, he manages to catch up, and he somehow jumps out of a window feet first, and he just so happens to think that the car is going to be there, and it was, and he kicks right through the window and lands right in the seat and kicks the guy out of the car.
Here's my other problem with that. Mm. Doesn't he have bulletproof windows?
Oh wow, damn! He did have bulletproof windows.
So those windows can stop bullets, but they can't stop a man from kicking through. Come on.
Well, maybe not Frank. Maybe it couldn't stop Frank.
or that window wouldn't have shattered the way it shattered. It would have just popped out.
Yeah. You're right about that.
God, I can't believe I'm poking holes like this into this movie, but I was literally thinking that. I can't help myself. That's when I'm watching these movies now, this is the kind of things I come up with.
Yeah, even when I'm watching other movies that's not related to this, what we're doing, I'm still poking holes in them now, you know. But yeah, I know it's still fun. Anyway, now Frank ends up getting to another payphone, and he ends up calling Tarconi, and they're trying to exchange information, but they both have limited information about what's going on at this point in time. You guys got anything? Anything else?
I think, you know, basically Johnson made his point. Frank's on board full. He's all in now. Of course, he'd like more information, but that's not going to happen.
Now, these people they had to do a lot to Frank's car, because I remember in the first two movies, no one could start this car without knowing the code. But people are obviously taking this car without the code. Like the guy that just jumped in, he didn't have to put in the code in order to take off. And obviously, when Johnson got the car, they obviously did not have to have a code to take the car. Now that seemed a little fast to be able to do that from the time they took Frank to now. It seemed a little quick for them to change the whole car that fast. But anyway,
maybe he forgot that feature now that he's not a transporter no more.
You think he might have had it taken off?
Although he did keep the rolling license plate.
Yeah, he did. He did.
So who knows?
So now, as they're driving, Valentina is starting to open up a little bit, and she decides that she wants to get high. So she pops a couple of pills. Frank tries to stop her, but she takes them anyway. You know, she's starting to get high, and she's dancing. They stop to get some gas, and she's dancing. She's having a good time. She goes into the gas station, and Frank gives her the money to get gas, and she gives the attendant the money, but then she grabs some chips, and the attendant's not saying anything to her. He's just looking at her. And then she grabs some vodka, and she's taking that to the head in the gas station. Then she tries to go to the bathroom. She realizes she's going too far, and because her bracelet is starting to beep at this point in time. So she comes a little bit closer, and she just, I don't know, she either takes a piss or a shit right on the floor of this gas station. We don't know what she did. All I do know is I know she didn't wash her hands. That's all I know. She didn't wash her hands, and that's what I'm thinking. Like, COVID has fucked me up now. Like, I was looking like, damn, she's nasty. She's trifling. She did not wash her hands.
Then she tried to share the vodka bottle with Frank.
Yeah, she did. Like, you know, I would say, get your shitty hands away from me. Like, there's no way I'm taking that. You know, you didn't wipe at nothing.
Oh man.
She comes back to the car. Now, as she's dancing around, playing around, Frank is outside. He's telling her no. He's telling her to stop. Don't do it. Another car passes, and Frank notices it, but it didn't seem like he was really concerned with them at first. when Valentina comes out, he's trying to calm her down because she's really tripping out. And then that's when the car sees them, turns around, and they jump in the car and try and take off. And Frank is trying to outrun this other car. He has no idea who these people are, why they're following them, and why they're trying to stop them. And this scene also got a little bit Fast and Furious, especially when they had the two trucks. He turned it on his car on his side like he was in the Deuce of Hazzard and rolled right between these two trucks.
Yeah, and now I could see him doing that between the trucks, but how you get in the car to stay like that with nothing holding it up? That made no sense to me.
No. I'm assuming, Boogs, you did not like the scene.
No. Like, not at all.
I see your face. That's how I knew that. I see your face. How you looking?
Man, like, no, it made no sense, man.
Yeah, and these guys are shooting at him also. They're shooting at him. Now, I'm assuming, like, after watching it the second time, I said, okay, these guys think that Frank, they don't realize that he's a hired gun, like, or that he's hired to transfer. They think that he is a kidnapper. And so they're trying to stop him, and they're trying to kill him, actually. He evades them. He eventually gets behind them, and he takes his car pretty much and just pushes them off a cliff without finding out who these guys were or anything. You guys got anything else about this scene that I missed?
I mean, you know what? The whole thing was crazy because I was trying to figure out, was this, I mean, obviously he's not with Johnson because why would he be coming after Frank?
Right.
Doesn't Frank eventually ask Johnson about it and Johnson had to look into it?
Well, yeah, when Frank was driving, he called Johnson and asked him, like, why, but if I was Frank, I would have thought that it was Johnson because he just tried to blow me the fuck up. So I would have thought that it was him.
Yeah.
Now after they murdered those guys, pushed them off the cliff, Frank is pretty much he needs to relax. So he's trying to trip out. I mean, he's starting to trip out because there's just too much going on right now. And Valentina is trying to console him and try and make him feel better. She's rubbing on him and trying to massage him. And Frank doesn't want anything to do with her. She eventually takes the keys and gets out of the car. And Frank he's kind of a little concerned because he does not want her to go too far because he knows what will happen. And then this is when Valentina gives him a proposition like, look, if I'll give you the keys if you give me a kiss. And one thing turns to another, and we all know what happens between them. And it made me think of the first movie because they were on the run in the first movie, and then that girl wanted to have sex with him while they were on the run. Go ahead, Books.
We all know what happens. They end up having sex with her nasty ass that she didn't wipe. And now now Frank is over here. He got dirty man parts, and then they still have a shower. It's just been the man was sweating earlier. Hey, real talk. Just wanted to know, how'd you guys feel, man, when you guys saw a phone book? I haven't seen a phone book in a while.
I actually thought that maybe there was either something else under the phone books in the bag, or if there was something, maybe one or two on top were decoys, and there was some other phone book that had the middle cut off and middle cut out, and something was in the middle. I didn't think that I didn't think that it was about her but she knew it when he put it together. And was like, "You're the package," and she was like, "Yeah, congratulations." Like, why the fuck didn't you tell me that earlier?
Come over here.
Why do you tell me that before I stuck my man parts and got them all dirty?
Well, he hadn't done that yet. That when he found that out, he hadn't done it yet.
He found that out, but then now she was like, "All right, I'm the package. Now come over here and come and get this shitty ass."
Right. And he did. He did.
No shame, man.
But I actually, if I was him, I would have been worried. I would have been worried about going too far away from the car.
Bullshit. I would have been worried about getting like HPV or something. What you talking about? I'm sorry, man. Like at that moment, man,
Well, I knew Frank was going to do it, man. I knew Frank was going to do it because he did it in the first movie. Like, you literally on the run for your life.
I thought he had morals.
No, Frank doesn't. You know, I mean, like I said, you know, Frank doesn't seem to have a lot of close people in his life. You know, he probably thinking like, man, when's the last time but he probably ain't gotten none since the first movie.
There you go.
You know what? You're right. He was like, yo, I missed out on the mom.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha. The psycho chick was trying to kill me.
Right. Now, meanwhile, Johnson is trying to get in contact. So Johnson doesn't know what's going on at this point in time. So Johnson ends up calling the prime minister, and the prime minister lets him know, like, look, I know who you are now. And if something happens to my daughter, I'm coming after you. Johnson looked scared at that point in time. So now he's trying to get back in contact with Frank and find out where they are. He needs to get them back on the road. You guys got anything else?
Not really. I mean, you know, he's like change of plans, and Frank's now Frank's like, we're getting to the end here. This is not good.
And Valentina, after they end up having sex, Valentina tells him, okay, this is what happened. You know, she was in the club. She was having a good time. I guess she was there by herself without any friends or anything. Someone passed her a glass of champagne. She drinks it. She pretty much gets drugged. And that's how they ended up kidnapping her. And when she wakes up, she's in Malcolm's car. Go ahead, Books.
Real quick, just this may be messed up, but just like I'm saying, her teeth were really yellow.
Well, I'm assuming that she was a good time girl and she liked to have a lot of fun. And we saw her take drugs earlier in the movie, so I'm quite sure that she's taken a lot of drugs. When they showed her at the club, she seemed like she was a little high. So there's no telling what type of drugs she takes. You know, her dad's the prime minister. I'm quite sure she gets some good shit. Anyway. So she tells Frank her story. And she says that, did you guys notice that at first they didn't have the bracelets on when she's telling the story? Her and Malcolm did not have the bracelets on. So when she stopped, she stops to go talk and she gives her dad a call. And then that's when Malcolm sees that Johnson's people are coming behind them. So he tells her to get back in the car. And then they take off. And then that's when, at some point in time, I guess they catch up with them because Malcolm is beat up when he sees Frank, and he's shot. So then he ends up going to Frank's house, and that's where we end up picking up at the very beginning of the movie. And it looks like at this point in time, after they get them talking, it looks like Frank and Valentina are starting to get close. It's more than they are having a connection at this point in time now. You guys got anything?
Why not? They already had the main connection.
Okay. Now, at this point in time, Tarconi and the Prime Minister are working together, and they are trying to bring Frank in and tell him where to go. Frank is talking to Tarconi on the phone. Frank now knows that this is the Prime Minister's daughter. And that he knows that that Johnson is trying to get him, the Prime Minister, to sign this toxic dumping, treaty or whatever.
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to skip ahead. You guys got anything else?
Not yet.
Okay. So Johnson ends up telling Frank where he wants them to go, where he wants to meet him. And he tells them to come to this bridge. Frank is going to go. Frank now knows that the Prime Minister and Tarconi are going to meet him and help him at some point in time. Valentina doesn't want him to go because she thinks that they're going to get killed. They end up going and they get to this bridge, and they're pretty much cornered on this bridge. Frank tells Valentina to get out, go ahead and go with him. It's going to be okay. She doesn't want to. She doesn't want to leave him because she thinks that as soon as she gets out, Frank is going to get killed. She gets out of the car. She goes over with Johnson. And then Johnson tells his men to kill Frank. And Frank ends up driving off the bridge, crashing in the water. Johnson thinks that Frank is going to die because either he's basically says, drown. Yeah. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, he tells them straight up. I mean, he says, he's basically created his own grave. He's either going to blow up to get away from the car, or he's going to drown in his car. So no matter what, he's going to die in this car.
Right. What? And now when Frank is in the water, he ends up calling Tarconi and telling him where he is. He's in the lake, and he needs them to come get him. Now, what did you guys think of how Frank survives this scene?
It was creative, but it was BS.
Yeah, and that really wasn't realistic. He ends up going into the trunk and getting those bags that had the phone books in them, and takes them. And he takes them and he puts them over the nozzle of the tires, and that the air from the tire goes into the bag so he can breathe. And then it seems like he tied these bags to the car, and the bags ended up bringing the car up to the surface. I didn't think that was realistic at all. You guys have any problem with this?
It was. I had a huge problem with it. It was stupid. I didn't get it. It was dumb, but creative movie magic, I guess.
Yeah. Now, Johnson and his crew didn't wait around to see if Frank was dead or not. They end up leaving.
Hold on. You skipped it. Johnson did take off Valentina's bracelet. It looked like it was like a magnetic piece or something like that.
Yeah, he did. He did do that when she got close to him. So she did not blow up in his face and kill him also. So he had no choice but to take it off. Yep. They are going to get on a train. And there was only a couple of minutes left until it was time to sign the treaty. So they were just going to keep moving on the train until that treaty was signed. Now, do you think Johnson was going to let Valentina go, or do you think he was going to kill her anyway? What do you guys think?
I was wondering about that. I mean, I gotta hope, but I think at a certain point, when things started going real sour, he was like done with the whole situation. So I think he would have killed her after what happened. I think at that point he would have let her go, but after everything that was going down, he was going to kill her.
Right, I think so too. But it really wasn't his call. It was his friends that worked for EpCorp. I think it was it would have been their call also.
Yeah.
And now those people, they were with the Prime Minister, and Prime Minister is trying to stall. He's taking his time. He's not signing the papers just yet because it's not 9 yet, but it's like close to 9 o'clock. So it is time for him to sign these papers. And then I guess he was supposed to go out and have a speech and talk about the papers being signed or something like that.
Yeah. Now, Frank, this is my last part where I really had an issue because the rest of it was okay. But Frank chasing after that train and jumping the car onto the train, it's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. It's not going to happen.
He's cool. He's somehow, but remember, like he somehow got air back in those tires.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. What the hell?
He somehow got air back in those tires.
Yeah, because the amount of air would have took to even make that whole airbag, whatever, float to the surface. Like, damn, you're right, Gene.
Yeah, because Tarconi and them wouldn't have brought any air. They wouldn't have brought any air.
Frank, you died, bro. Sorry.
Well, he ends up getting back in the car, chasing down the train, and then he ends up taking the train on a bridge, waiting for the train to pass by, jumps the car on top of the train, jumps in there and into the train, and he has a fight with Johnson's people.
I feel like that kind of impact on top. I don't care. What is that train made out of? That train is not
steel, I guess. I don't know.
It must have been. That's the thing, though. You could have busted a wheel or an axle. That car would have not been drivable.
It wouldn't have landed flat like that on a train.
It wasn't bad. The physics are impossible.
Yeah. So he ends up beating up Johnson's people, and then him and Johnson. I was ready for him to fight Johnson because Johnson Johnson was a little smug, and Johnson is the type of person that if I was Frank, I would have tortured him before I wiped him off.
Johnson was dirty. He had a knife on his heel that he pulled out. He was pulling out the gun. I mean, he didn't fight. He was just dirty. He was just Frank could have whipped his ass easy, but
in all of these movies, all of these transporter movies, the main villain, the main bad guy is not a real tough guy. Like Frank never has a badass final fight scene with any of these guys, and he pretty much beats them up easily.
Yeah, and it's usually quick death or whatever they want to do.
Yeah, and that was the same thing with this one also. Now, it was kind of funny that Johnson was going farther in the train, and Frank was following him and getting farther and farther away from the car that was on top of one of the boxcars of the train.
Yeah.
And he can only go so far. So he had to run back, get the car. Johnson reaches down and detaches the train he was in, the cart he was in from the rest of the train. And then Frank drives his car from the roof of the train and goes right through the back of that other part of the train and comes back in. So now the train is still close to him. He ends up getting over and was able to fight Johnson. He ends up taking the key away from Johnson, putting that bracelet on Johnson and tying him to the car.
No, he had him like hooked between the wheel and the bracelet.
Mm-hmm.
But this made no sense to me because why did he like let himself go?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I would have just stayed in the car.
Yeah, I mean,
because
obviously you're going to jail, but at least you didn't blow up.
Right. Exactly. You know, maybe
he fell out the car and blew up.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, basically.
That was done. That was weird to me.
Yeah, I would have thought the whole train would have blew up though. I mean, because when Malcolm was in the ambulance, the whole ambulance blew up because he was in there. So Johnson was still on the train. So when that train, when the bracelet exploded, I would have thought that he would have blew up also.
I mean, it got most of that car because Frank had to jump behind like a chair or a seat.
And both him and Valentina ended up surviving. Johnson is now dead. Now what we kind of skipped over is the prime minister did sign those papers, and he was upset. But then his phone rings, and he gets word that it's Tarconi, that everything is fine. His daughter is in good hands. So then he immediately tears up the treaty, and those guys were upset. But it was nothing that they could do. That he did that. Now, do you think that he would have had his people arrest them immediately, right then and there?
Should have, but he didn't.
Well, we don't know. I mean, because we never saw anything else about that part.
He set him up and he bitch smacked them all. It was like,
Now the people that were on the freighter, it seemed like the police and the authorities came after those guys.
Because they were waiting for the green light.
Right.
Never got it.
Now those people seemed like they were trying to escape, but I didn't understand like where the hell they thought they were going to go and get away. Because they were trying to get off.
They weren't going anywhere. They were surrounded.
Now they also, let me ask you this, Joe, and Buzz, if you know the answer to this, jump in. Those guys, they needed to get those containers off of the ship. Were those containers leaking or something like that? They said something to that effect.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So they were leaking. Okay. I wasn't sure. Okay. So the police, the authorities end up getting those guys and arresting them. After that, it was pretty much the end of the movie. We see Frank and Tarconi, they're back fishing again, and this time Valentina is with Frank, so it looks like they're gonna stay together and be a happy couple. And that is how the movie ended. All right. So to me, I didn't, it wasn't bad to me. I know we poked holes in it a little bit, but I give the movie, I give it a B. What about you guys?
I'm right there, B.
Books?
B minus.
B minus.
Like okay, I would watch this if it was on TV.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, I wouldn't go search for it.
Okay. Yeah. I got it. Okay. I don't remember the grades that I gave the other movies. But I think I like this one the best. Me personally, I like this one. I like this one the best, and then I like one, and then I like the second one. Joe, you said you like the first one, and then this one, and then this, and then number two. What order do you like them, Angel?
You know what? Honestly, I always like number two better, and then number one, then number three.
Okay.
Number one, without a doubt, to me, had the best fight scenes.
Okay.
Number two.
Yeah,
to
I would
me-
agree. That had the most martial arts fights.
Yeah. Without a doubt, I would agree with that all day. For number two, I guess the reason why I always liked that one the most was, there was something to me. I just felt like I had a better story to it. Like I was always more compelled to watch that one. Like
Okay.
just the fact like that it, and I don't know, but this is like a weird bias thing for me. But like I feel like anything that ever happens in Miami, like any movies, it always just looks better. Like you're just more attracted to like the movie that's in Miami.
I got you.
So, yeah.
So that's the end of the Transporter series. So we knocked out Transporter. We're done with that. We knocked out Blade. So what is next? What is our next movie we're watching for this
Snake Eyes
week? Snake Eyes. Okay, this is gonna be
All right.
interesting. G.I. Joe movie. Have either one of you guys seen this already? Both you seen
I have
it?
not,
You
but
seen
I've
it, Joe?
heard. I've heard two different perspectives on it already.
Yeah.
One good, one bad. So
Yeah.
I'm curious.
I have not heard anything good about the movie, which is messed up, man, because Snake Eyes as a kid was one of my favorite characters on G.I. Joe, even though he never talked. He just looked cool. But I'm kind of interested how this movie goes, you know. All right, so that's it for this week. You guys got any closing remarks?
No, I'm good.
No, man.
Cool. This nice, easy show. I know our director is happy that we didn't go too far over the hour limit. You know, we tried to talk as fast as we could. So next week is Snake Eyes. Everybody stay safe, stay strong. We'll holler at you guys next week. Director, play our music.
Disaster must come. At best, only postponed. Shaolin Kung Fu, to survive, must now be taught to more young men.